treaty itself. What it does do is confirm the government has the right...
In New Zealand, a big argument is growing louder. It's about a group of people called Maori, the first people of the country. Some people say Maori are getting special treatment, like extra money or power. These people feel it's unfair and creates a divided country. They often ask, why are some people getting special help when we are all struggling? This feeling is not new, but it has grown stronger recently. Why? Because the economy is tough, and when times are tough, people start to look very closely at who gets what. This video is not about feelings. It's about facts. We will look at the numbers, we will look at the history, and we will ask a simple question. What does the data really say? Let's start by looking at the money. It's the first thing people argue about. Let's finish that part in the first 30 seconds. When you hear about a Maori budget of hundreds of millions of dollars, it sounds like a lot. It sounds like a lot of special privilege, but let's put that number in perspective.
They're still in the red. They've got an operating deficit of $10.2 billion and net crown debt. This is overall government debt.
The cost of living areas, strong public services, the recovery and resilience, and being fiscally sustainable.
New Zealand's government spends about $170 billion every year. That's a huge number. The money set aside just for Maori projects is about $850 million. That big number is not even 1% of the total budget. It's about 0.5%. This means over 99.5% of government money goes to things for everyone. It pays for schools, hospitals, and roads that all New Zealanders use. The money for Maori-specific projects is a very small part of the pie. It's a tiny sliver. The feeling of a large special budget is much bigger than the reality. Mixing up the two makes the whole argument difficult. It creates a picture of huge special treatment that is not real. Now, you might ask, okay, so the money is small, but why does it exist at all? To answer that, we have to look at the results. First, a quick look at history. When Europeans came to New Zealand, they brought new laws and systems. These systems did not always work well for Maori people. This created a lasting gap in outcomes, a gap we can still see today.
So we say close that 7-year gap, say in 10 years.
Hopefully.
In health, Maori people live shorter lives. The life expectancy for Maori is about 7 years lower than for others.
A formula for student success, the By Māori for Māori approach officially recognised by the country's education watchdog.
In education, many Maori kids are falling behind. Only 44% of Maori students go to school regularly, compared to 60% of other students. At the end of high school, the number of Maori students who leave with no qualifications is twice as high as for non-Maori. These facts paint a clear picture. Maori, as a group, are not living privileged lives. They face big problems in many areas. What some people call special treatment is really a special effort to close these gaps. It's not about treating Maori more fairly. It's about finally treating them fairly by correcting a long-standing unfairness.
That compares to Māori making up just 16% of the overall New Zealand population.
Now, let's look at one number that is often used in this debate, the prison population. The data is clear. While Maori are about 16% of New Zealand's population, they make up more than 50% of the people in prison. For some, this is proof that the money isn't working. They say, we have targeted spending, but the problem is getting worse. It's a waste. But others say this number is a result of a much bigger problem. It's like a car engine that keeps failing. The problems start early in the process and get worse at every step. For example, Maori are more likely to live in poverty. They are also more likely to be unemployed. When you combine this with less access to things like mental health help, it creates a difficult path. Small problems become big ones, and the justice system becomes the end of a long, difficult road. So, is the prison system proof that targeted spending is a failure? Or is it proof that the problem is much deeper and more complex? This brings us to a bigger question. Why is this debate so loud right now? The answer is the economy. When the economy is tough, people get angry. And right now, things are tough in New Zealand.
A new survey suggests a quarter of New Zealanders are struggling with the cost of living.
The cost of living is rising fast. As of mid-2025, wages are falling behind inflation. This means people's money buys less and less.
And now more than ever, younger Kiwis are more a part of the financial conversation.
In fact, New Zealand households are now spending more money than they earn. In the first 3 months of 2025, households spent $1.6 billion more than they earned. It means families are using their savings or going into debt just to pay their bills. When wallets are empty, people look at how the government is spending money very closely. They ask, why is money going to them when I am struggling? In times of economic stress, any spending with a label, like Maori-specific funding, becomes a target for anger. It's easy for some to point to it and say, they're getting something at my expense. At the center of this debate is a fight over a simple word, equality. Everyone wants equality, but what does it really mean? For some people, equality means treating everyone exactly the same, no matter what, one law for all. But for many others, equality means making sure everyone has the same chance to succeed. It means recognizing that some groups start far behind others. They say you can't just ignore history and pretend everyone is at the same starting line.
E ono ngā pōti e whakahe. Kawana! Ka whakamanuwhiriti a koe!
This big argument happened in New Zealand's parliament recently. A bill was proposed that would have tried to define the Treaty of Waitangi in a very narrow way. It would have pushed for the one law for all idea, but the bill failed. Almost every single politician voted against it. It showed that most people in New Zealand believe the treaty is a special promise to Maori, not just an old piece of paper. This shows the core problem. People are using the same word, equality, but they are thinking of two very different things. One side sees equality as a single system for everyone. The other side sees it as a level playing field, where you help those who are behind to catch up. Another big part of the argument is something called co-governance. This sounds scary to some people. They imagine Maori leaders secretly running the country. But what is it really? Co-governance is simply about sharing responsibility. It's about Maori and the government working together to manage things. For example, a river or a special park. This is not about giving Maori full ownership. It's about working together as partners. But co-governance has had some problems. The plans were often confusing. They didn't clearly explain who, what, and when. When people can't see the lines, they feel it is unfair. They worry that unelected people are getting too much power. This confusion has helped feed the idea of special privilege. Co-governance is not about Maori supremacy. It's about a shared duty. But when the plans are not clear, it looks like special treatment. The solution is simple. Make the rules clear so everyone can see what is happening. In the end, it comes down to two different beliefs. One side argues that any policy based on race is wrong. It goes against the idea of a single, unified country where everyone is the same. They believe that a policy is only fair if it applies to everyone, equally. They would say that if these policies work, we would already see a change in the numbers. The other side argues that it is impossible to have a truly unified country without first fixing the historical wrongs. They believe that a policy is only fair if it creates equal results for everyone. They would say that if we abandon these policies, the gaps will only get worse. So, who is right? How can we tell which approach is the best one? Maybe the real answer is to stop arguing about feelings and focus on facts. What if we agreed on a few key things to measure? Things that would show us if we are making progress as a country. Let's look at three key areas. Justice. If targeted policies work, we should see fewer Maori people in prison. Health. If targeted policies work, the gap in life expectancy should get smaller. Education. If targeted policies work, more Maori children should be succeeding in school. If these numbers get better, it would be hard to argue that these policies are a failure. It would be proof that they are working to create a more fair country. But if the numbers do not change, or if they get worse, then we would have to ask serious questions about the policies. It would be a signal that we need to try something else. This approach takes the debate from feelings to facts. It makes everyone responsible for the results. It's about proving that we are building a fairer country. New Zealand is not alone in this discussion. Many countries around the world are trying to do the same thing. Australia, for example, has a program called Closing the Gap. They have clear goals to make things better for Aboriginal people. Canada has also been working for years to give more rights to First Nations people. The lesson from these countries is simple. It's not easy, but having clear rules and being honest about the results is the best way to move forward. The debate is not a sign of a bad country. It's a sign of a country trying to do the right thing. So, is it privilege or fairness? The numbers are the jury. They are the final judge. Today, Maori people are not privileged. They are facing big problems that others are not. But the policies aimed at helping them can be a path to a fairer future for everyone. If those policies succeed and the gaps get smaller, it will be hard to argue that they were about special treatment. They will have simply done their job, making the playing field level. Fairness is not about pretending we are all the same. It's about making sure your future is not decided by your past. This is New Zealand's challenge. It's a big one. But if the country stays focused on results, it can win. We can create a country where the gap between Maori and non-Maori is a relic of history. Which of the 3 key areas we discussed do you think is the most important to focus on first? Tell us in the comments, and why in just one sentence.